With the crypto markets absolutely crashing today, buried in a sea of red, why the average crypto holder and investor is literally holding on for dear life, with the fear and greed index resting near the yearly low set on March 10th of 2025, even though it has gone up 1 point since yesterday, and with Bitcoin dominance somehow holding its own, going up a little bit from even the number we saw yesterday, even though Bitcoin has continued to drop, breaking through the bullish fair value gap on the weekly and continuing to work on what looks to be a wave 3 to the downside, which could soon turn into a dead cat bounce for the wave 4, moving into even lower levels on the wave 5, with many saying that the end is here for Bitcoin. It's over. Get ready for the collapse, even though some of the biggest voices in the industry are telling us that there's absolutely nothing to worry about. People like Michael Saylor, who own more Bitcoin than Jesus and are continuing to buy, breathing a breath of hope into the current market. Is the crypto market doomed? Are assets like XRP about to go back to the lows that they saw previous to the Trump pump? Or is it time to trust in people like Michael Saylor, who know exactly what they're talking about, the best in the industry, the best in the business, the titans of this crypto industry? Trusting in people that have absolute integrity rather than the swindlers that we have seen in the past, robbing people of billions and billions of dollars in their hard-earned crypto, yet lacked the credibility of the titans that we see in the industry today with their trust me bro mentality. We can finally trust, oh son of a... And as always, this is not financial advice and is nothing short of the rantings and ravings of a man who once ate paint chips as a kid. The MMRI is still sitting in the same level right now at about 257 in the high risk range, resting right here near the lows, with the low of the year resting at 242 set during the week of September 16th. And as we look at the Bitcoin rainbow price chart, we can see that the price is currently resting just above the blue, nowhere near the red range on this particular indicator, with price touching the red zone right here, going back to the 2017 cycle, even breaking out above it here back in 2013, lessening a bit each time it has hit these ranges, barely touching the orange going back here into the 2021 cycle, but during this particular cycle, not even making it into the lime green. Could the cycle be over? And when looking at the bull market peak indicators, we can see that it is still telling us to hold 100%, not 99%, not 90%, and out of these 30 indicators, not a single indicator is showing that we have hit the peak of the bull market. But how could that possibly be if the price is crashing and we are seemingly moving into a bear market? That is a very, very good question. But we can see that on the hourly, a few cryptos are starting to make some gains, with ZEC being up 4.6% on the hour. Moving over to the daily, where we can see one of my 6 picks actually gave up all of yesterday's gains, but STRK is up at about 16.2%. Jumping over to the weekly, we can see the STRK is plus 70.2%, with TEL coming in at number 2 at plus 47.1%. On the monthly, with ZEC in the number 1 spot at plus 141%, with STRK in number 2 at 0.88.6, with Decred in the number 3 spot at 83.7, and with Telcoin still holding within the top 5 in the number 4 spot at 58.1%. On the day, the 201 through the 300 market cap ranking coins have done the worst at negative 6.3%, with the 701 through 800 market cap coins doing the best, only losing 2.2% on the day. Taking a look at my watch list, we can see that the indices are basically flat or slightly in the green. The dollar index has actually risen quite a bit, which is putting a lot of pressure on the crypto market overall, as risk assets are definitely feeling the pinch as the dollar is now pushing up over the 100 level. Volatility has actually come down. Silver and gold still holding their own, with silver trading at just over $51 and gold sticking at that 4,072 range. Crude is still below 60 and likely going to continue to get worse. Bitcoin lost nearly 4% on the day. XRP down a massive 8.26% on the day. XLM slightly outperforming XRP yet again at minus 6.68%. Algorand down 5.55%. HBAR losing about 6%. XDC down about 4.5%. Telcoin giving back some of their gains, but still holding above the 206 level, losing 6%. ZBCN getting absolutely kicked in the losing 8.8%. And looking at the MSTR stock, we can see that it's down almost 11% on the day. It really seems to me like the powers that be are really trying to put the pressure on old Michael Saylor, who I guarantee you is continuing to leverage and leverage and leverage his Bitcoin. And I do believe that the day is going to come where Michael Saylor is going to end up paying the piper. But it won't really come out to where it hurts him much. It will hurt his credibility, but it's going to be the investors who are going to feel the pain, which is the case 99.9% of the time. But do me a favor and hit the like button before we jump into this. I'd really appreciate it. But jumping over and taking a look at the XRP weekly chart, we can see that there is, in fact, a bullish hidden divergence forming on the charts right now. Price has actually broken slightly below it, with today's price action as set off of this candle low. But we can clearly see the divergence between the price action and between the indicator. Now, this bullish divergence can drop down lower right around that $1.91 range before being invalidated. But even if this bullish divergence is invalidated off of this point right here on the chart that you can see below on the indicator, it could be stretched out to this point as well, giving us a second point of contact, which would essentially extend this bullish hidden divergence to this point here instead, giving us a longer-term point from which to calculate this bullish hidden divergence, which also means that in order to negate this divergence, price would have to drop down to about that $1.60 level, which would be incredibly painful for all of us who are currently holding XRP through this storm, but does give us a glimmer of hope because we could see a reversal at any point, especially to where on the CCI, price is now starting to break into the lower range to which we generally start to see a reversal. What we want to see is the blue line crossing over the yellow line, as you see right here, as this generally marks the reversal point and is which the area when we generally see the biggest moves. Going back on the chart, we can see the crossover, which occurred right here, led to one of the biggest moves that we've seen in the past year during the Trump election pump, with this crossover marking the exact breakout candle. We saw the exact same thing here, with this crossover marking the exact breakout candle. But being on the weekly chart, there still is quite a bit of space here between the blue line and the yellow line, but it does give us something to hope for. Because if XRP can break out of this lower range, moving up to test this bearish SIBI centered at about $3.36 on the daily chart, if by some chance it did break out, these would be the fib levels that we would be looking at right here. And just as price was trading within this descending channel here, bottoming out at these fib levels, and breaking to the upside, riding the upper trend line before getting to that breakout, current price is also trading in a very similar channel, being broken through only with the flash crash wick that we saw on 1010, which did not correlate very much into the indicator, which is a prime indication that this was in fact an orchestrated event and did not have near as much to do with the technicals as you would think, barely even putting a dent in the CCI. But current price is holding above this lower trend line. If we do break this lower trend line, it would definitely be something to worry about, as the price bottomed out during the flash crash at this lower trend line right here of this broadening wedge pattern that we are currently seeing on the charts, coming down perfectly to the 1.702 fib. But if price did continue to break below this trend line, moving downward, the most likely target would end up being this 1.786 and this lower trend line, which could take prices considerably lower. Although I'm not going to consider that until at a bare minimum we break through this lower trend line and this bullish hidden divergence is taken out, I will first be watching this bullish hidden divergence to see how it plays out and whether or not it is invalidated before moving to the second one. So this is what I will be keeping my eye on. If you would like to support my channel, the easiest way to do that is to join my Patreon. There are 3 paid membership levels. You can also join for free if that better suits you. You can also sign up for Bitunix if you're thinking about trading spot or leverage, or even if you're just looking for a place to swap your cryptos for 0 fees. Simply use my link. That helps to support the channel, and I would really appreciate it. Now, jumping over to the monthly chart, there's another very important thing that I want to show you on the chart, which I have talked about previously. With this bullish fair value gap forming off of these 2 points right here on the chart. If you look at this chart, price has wicked through this numerous times, but it's not the wick that does the damage, it's the candle body itself. And you can see that by looking at this fair value gap going all the way back to the Trump election pump in early November during the month of November 2024, since this point of price getting through right here, not a single candle body has formed below this upper trend line of that fair value gap. We are now currently starting to push back into this gap with the candle body. Even during the flash crash, it wicked deeply through it to this lower trend line, but the candle body retracted all the way up to this area. We definitely want to watch this monthly candle because we want to see this candle body stay above this lower trend line. This candle body can close within this fair value gap, which will not break it, but will start to weaken it. We want to see this candle body stay up above this area if possible, but at a bare minimum, the bottom trend line of this fair value gap. And by pulling these Fibonacci retracement levels here, going off of this previous low here and this previous high right here, it gives us these fib levels, which we have currently broke past the 0.618, are pushing barely past the 0.702, and may very well exhaust around the area of the 0.786, which would be around the $1.92 level, which coincidentally is the same area that would negate this bullish hidden divergence in the first form. Meaning, if it hit this level, we would now need to pull this down here, pull this down to here, which would extend this bullish hidden divergence on the weekly chart, still keeping it in play. If we do get a push down to this level, this is where I would expect to see the first area of a potential reversal. But this monthly candle switching over to December will be very telling and is something we definitely want to keep our eyes on. But overall, even though the market is ugly, and even though it is very hard to continue holding, trying to decide if it is now time to add to our positions, to continue holding, or whether or not to pull the ripcord, just completely exiting, all I can tell you is what I am doing. And if you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you know that I have no plans to sell my XRP. My long-term holdings are going to be held to 2030, 2032. I don't care if the price is 10 cents. I don't care if the price is $10. And I am still continuing to accumulate certain assets, buying a little bit every day, like Telcoin, ZBCN. I am now adding XDC to that list, but I'm currently not adding to my other ISO coin positions like XRP, XLM, HBAR, Algo. Instead, choosing to wait, because if they do push down to much lower levels, at some point I will continue to start accumulating, but I don't think we're at that point. If price does, however, rebound, breaking up to higher levels, then I definitely will not be adding to those positions. Instead, I will be focused on continuing to hold my current positions. But every single one of us has to have a strategy that fits our goals, because our goals are individual. Every single one of us thinks different. But in the end, the most important part of this entire game that we are currently playing, called crypto, is risk management. Taking the least amount of risk is always going to be the best way to go. And if we've learned anything this year, it should be what we saw during the flash crash when crypto titans, people who have been in this game for over a decade, making millions, decamillions, some of the best crypto investors who have ever lived, and they were completely, utterly wiped out during the flash crash because they were taking on more risk than they needed to. Some of these people were even taking very limited risk, having most of their crypto at maybe a 2 or a 3x, and were still wiped out. But the beauty about having physical coins in cold storage or holding spot positions is that you cannot be liquidated. And by holding in cold storage, you also bypass counterparty risk that you could be facing by holding on exchanges. So regardless of what strategy, of what approach you take, please always focus on your risk management. But at the same time, do what is best for you. Don't do what I'm doing just because I'm doing it. Don't do what Michael Saylor's doing just because Michael Saylor's doing it. Do what is best for you, and that will always come to the best result, as long as you are managing your risk accordingly. But regardless, this is going to be a fight. I have said numerous times that this is going to be the year that divides the wheat from the chaff. And only 1 out of 1,000 investors are going to make it to the other side. It's going to be the toughest thing you have ever gone through in your entire life. People are going to lose their life savings, everything they own. At the same time, a handful of people are going to rise from the ashes and literally move into paradise. So at this point, all you have to do is choose which side are you going to be on. Are you going to swim in the ashes, or are you going to rise from the ashes, extending your hand and helping people up and out of the hole they have dug for themselves? Because this isn't about being selfish. It's about being a leader. And what good does it do to inherit the entire world yet lose your own soul? So good luck, everybody, and have a great day.